Okay, to install Apache NetBeans, we find it in our downloads. Double click the icon. Yes, we want to allow it to make changes to our device. Why we double click the icon, right? Configuring the installer. Okay, so it's going to install the base IDE Java SE, which is what we really want. It's also going to put in support for HTML5 and JavaScript, PHP, and Java EE. We won't use those. Maybe later on when you get better at HTML5, maybe you'll want to play with it. But I don't think NetBeans is the greatest HTML editor in the world, but it's great for Java. We'll just take next, agree to the license agreement. We're going to take the default installation, and notice here in the second line, where is the JDK at? Now it should fill it in for you automatically, and it should say, this says it's going to use 14. Now I know I installed 11 on my computer, but I may have already had 14 installed. So let's go look at that and see before I go on. Because if you have 16 and start to install 12.0, it's not going to work very well. Let me look here. See program files, Java. See, I have version 11 of the JDK installed and version 14, and it automatically wants to use the newest one. We don't want that. Okay. 14 said would be okay. We want to use version 11 though, is what we said we were going to use. So your computer isn't only used by you. Somebody might have installed a newer version of the JDK. If it's 14, it should work just fine, because we saw that in the documentation for NetBeans that it did work with JDK 14 just fine. I can go in here and browse though if I want to. I can, oops, go cancel, browse again. If I want to, I can tell it use 11 by just clicking the JDK 11 folder. So now my NetBeans will use JDK 11, which is what we wanted. Yours probably will come up with JDK 11, but again, you're not the only one that uses that computer. So, you know, one of the students in the other labs may have installed a different version. So when you install NetBeans, make sure it's going to use the JDK that you want. Okay, it says this installation folder is not empty. No. Through the magic of the pause button, I went and deleted. See, I had NetBeans installed on this computer before, so I went and deleted that folder. I had uninstalled it, but I hadn't deleted the folder, so I shouldn't have that error. There we go. That's what you will probably see. Base IDE, there we go. Check for updates. Yeah, that's a good idea. Let it update itself as it can, as it needs to. And we'll run the installation. So things can go wrong when you're installing, so it's important not to always hit next and actually read what's on these option screens. I picked 11, JDK 11. I also had to make sure I was installing in the correct folder. You should not have that issue. You may go to do this and realize that somebody in the other lab has already installed NetBeans for you as well. You may not even need to reinstall it. All right, I used the pause button again while mine was installing. You see when it got done, it says installation completed successfully. We can click finish. And under my program files now, I should have Apache NetBeans IDE 12. And this is a program I use a lot, so you can see I actually have an icon to start it into my taskbar. If you want to do that, you can right click on it and say pin to taskbar, and then you'll always have the icon that goes directly to it when you need it. And there we go. You can see I have an old project open, dog demo. Little program we made to simulate a dog. All right, in the next video, we'll get around to actually using Apache NetBeans.